Boop.
I wonder is the boop gonna make it?
Oh yeah, I saw it pop up on the thing.
Oh,
so
sweet.
yeah,
so that's it. Hey, this is another episode 18.
Fuck yeah, it is. Yeah,
episode 18. So
episode 18. Yeah,
starting off with a boop.
Always, it's been that way for like the past 5 episodes. I
That's
think
so funny.
It's just
And
just
as
a thing,
someone
man.
who's a frequent listener, you think I will pick up on that?
Right.
No,
Sometimes they're soft, sometimes they're loud. Sometimes I don't think I've hit one that distinct yet, but maybe you don't know. The show's not over yet.
Wait till week 19 or episode 19. Ooh, I had to catch myself there for a second.
People are like, they spend so much time talking about weeks and episodes as if it fucking matters. we just want to hear about the movies. Of course you do.
That's why you tuned in today.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna start on one you don't see coming.
Okay.
You look so shocked.
I already don't see it coming. You just jumped right into that motherfucker. So.
Well, it's a movie that you and I have watched, especially me, but a lot recently.
Recently?
Yeah. Because we made it, and it's called An Affair at the End of Time.
I was not expecting
You're like,
this.
what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm very confused. You had me on a fucking roller coaster.
Well, we get off here. We've
and that is the ride.
Thank you.
Please take all belongings.
Again. Yes, An Affair at the End of Time is a short film we've been working on for a year now, and it is finally complete. We've shown it to a handful of people, gotten some positive feedback, all relatives. So, hopefully we start showing, not relatives.
Yeah,
familial.
Yeah, I got you.
But we started sending it out to old festivals. We've pretty much scattered it across the country already with the few submissions we have done so far.
Yeah. Because we hit Florida too, right?
I think so.
You said something about Orlando.
Did I?
I believe.
Well, then, sure.
Because I was like, because it's whenever you texted me about, you said there's ones that are cheaper, so you sent it to 4 festivals.
Oh, yeah. Well, then maybe.
Florida.
I don't know. It's all blurring together
already.
Intern. Check that out. Right. He had the
joke once.
Yeah, we gave him the holidays off, so and he just didn't come back for a while.
Extended break.
Yeah, he wasn't cutting it. We had to get a new intern. But yeah, we just. I mean, unless you go and see our flick at a festival, and as this is our show, we will we'll keep people posted on where it's playing and when and whatnot. But right now you can go check out the teaser trailer, 30 seconds long for those that don't understand the concept of a teaser trailer.
Just to give you a little taste of what to expect.
Yeah. We're not trying to insult your intelligence. We've just been insulted recently, so just taking it out. But you can go check out the teaser trailer. Stars Miles Valentine and Catherine Bokenkamp. They both did an excellent job. Alex Duquette killing it with the sound design. Yeah,
Chase Todd with being the director, writer, and story by.
Yeah, and then story by and produced by Philip Hazen of Phil and Chase Watch Everything.
Is that us?
That's insane. That's so crazy.
That is crazy.
I didn't know those guys were involved.
Heavily involved. Not only do we like to watch movies, we like to make them as well.
Well, it's one of those things where I feel like, especially this last year, I was getting to the point of Chase has watched too much, and I was just ready to start making.
Yeah.
I was ready to stop being a watcher and start being a participant, I guess.
You say, get me off the sidelines, coach. I'm ready to
put
play.
me in. Let's do it.
I'm ready to play.
Let's do it.
I also watched it, so that's another one that we have in common for this week.
I don't think it's fair to give it a review. We'd be very biased. In all fairness, I think we've talked shit in the past, though, of stuff we've made. So we're still fair.
I feel like, if anything, the review that I would say that the family has given has been positive.
Yes. Yeah.
on my end for sure.
Well, I had the personal review as well of don't take any offense to this, but I'm actually very proud of you for this. And to stop doing the quote unquote weird shit that we've been doing and focus more on things like this. So
yeah, my sister said she really liked it. I was like, good. And she was very vocal too. Every time someone, she was like, oh damn. She's like, I didn't see. I was like, what, you thought it was just gonna be a average Joe story? Like you're just gonna predict everything?
Yeah, not with us. No.
Oh, you're fucking if it's 15 minutes or 2 hours long, we're gonna
take you on a ride.
Yeah, it's gonna be a roller coaster.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear that because then, because I guess we also previewed it to some people as well outside of the family that we've worked with. And I enjoy how many people that have watched it with us have been vocal while watching it. It definitely puts a smile on my face, like when they're oh shit, like just those moments, especially that line near the end where they're just like, damn. Now, why would she go and say something like that? But we're excited to see where that goes. So that's the news coming from Earth 217, our first official short film. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, technically
there have been Earth 217 productions so far, but as we've legitimized the studio a little bit more and shifted focus, this is like our I don't know, I guess we could call everything prior our soft open.
Yeah.
And this is like our grand opening of sorts.
Yeah. I feel you.
Right. A first-time listener is like, are they literally just going to talk about themselves this whole fucking time?
Well, for a first-time listener, this is a short week for us, so...
Yeah, I'm not
Philip didn't watch 12 films this week
Some might say he dicked around.
Some people may say that. Some people may say he was just visiting family over the weekend. But...
Depends on who you ask.
Ugh.
But
it's like a 50-50. It goes one way or the other. I was sticking around or I was doing something.
But I mean, even though you didn't watch a lot, it's still in its own way a Philly heavy week.
I have watched a lot. I have at least watched a lot that you watched, and it's gonna be the first time I feel like for the most part, we usually see eye to eye on
more
movies.
Or less. Yeah.
I said for the most part.
Sorry. He's already defensive. Haven't even started fucking talking about what we disagree.
But there are times where, we will both watch something and like one of us will like it and the other one will just like, nah, it's okay, or, vice versa.
All right. So I guess today, how about we work our way up to those two then? And we'll save those for the end. Now recurring listeners are like, they're fucking doing it again. They're talking about what they're going to do on the show. Do this in pre-production. Jesus Christ.
Do this on the sound test.
Well, to continue the David Lynch journey, I suppose, I did watch I don't know if it counts as per your request. I was going to watch it regardless.
Yeah, I don't think I think.
You just said, explain this to me. Go watch it and come back.
I was like, what did you... tell me what you think about this film.
So
I guess... sure.
Sure, you'll take it. So anyways, Phil requested I watched Lost Highway. And so, Lost Highway. I would say, so far, of the six David Lynch movies I've watched, it would probably come in 5th place, right above Dune. I didn't hate Lost Highway. I didn't dislike it, but it was kind of the same thing I was saying last week with Dune, where like all the David Lynch movies I've really dug just like grip me like immediately, and then I'm just like in it. And Lost Highway took a while to get into.
It took a long while, I feel like.
Yeah, and like I know we kind of talked about like I had a few buzzwords going into it to like guide me through it a little bit. So like I knew there was like a body swapping element to it. doesn't mean I can make heads or tails of the body swapping element of it.
Well, because that was like, because like I heard David Lynch died. I said, "Oh, I've never watched any of his films." Like, "Oh, you haven't watched his films? Here, watch Lost Highway."
Start here.
So I had literally zero things to go off of. I didn't know who David Lynch was. I didn't know the style of movies he made. I just knew that I needed to watch this, and I put it in. And like the first 40 minutes is just like a bunch of like, I don't know, just like a lot of just like scenes just kind of just happening. I felt like a lot of it didn't make sense. And it just kept just getting weirder. And then like when they did the body swapping, like towards like the end, I was...
Well, you're saying towards the end. I'm talking about the body swap happens early on in the movie. I mean,
like halfway through.
Well, whatever. I guess so, because it was a long movie. I guess.
Yeah, because when he was in prison and stuff. About like the half.
Yeah, I was like, that wasn't the end. I was like,
they double swapped.
Well, yes, because they swapped back.
They swapped back because that didn't make sense. The first time it happened, it didn't make sense. Then it happened again, and it really didn't make sense. I was like. So what happened with that whole story? Well, what was that about? And then
I have to say, of all the David Lynch movies, because even the far out ones like Eraserhead and Inland Empire, like I was along for the ride. I was feeling the frequency. I got it. I was digging it. And with Lost Highway, I felt myself pulling a Phil and trying to insert logic in places that it was not going to grow. I was just like, I kept trying to make sense of what I was watching in some way, shape, or form. I was like, even on a metaphorical level, I was like, so what's going on here? And the best of my abilities, even the things that I could think of that did make sense to me, still didn't make sense as a whole. Like, like I told you, like the one character, the pale-faced dude, I'm like, okay, well, he's the devil. Like I that was my thought as soon as that guy showed up the first time, and he's like, I'm at your house, call me. And he calls his house, and he's like, I told you I was at your house. He's like, what the fuck? How'd you do that? And like his whole vibe, everything he was doing, I'm like, okay.
He's taking pictures.
Yeah, I'm just like, he feels like
recording
the devil.
Like some shit.
Yeah, and he doesn't like camcorders. The main character.
Oh yeah.
He likes to remember things the way he remembers them.
Which is sporadic. So.
Yeah, spotty at best. So it's like
his fucking mind.
He like, I was like, okay, well, he's the devil, and then I was trying to like springboard from there. Like, okay, so if this guy's the devil, what else is going on here? Because then, like after the movie, I read into it a little bit of like, I guess, and I could see it in hindsight of like Bill Pullman's character. Like, before he body swaps, like, he probably did kill his wife. Like, that probably did happen. And it's like, there's a lot of breadcrumbs that imply that he's probably an abusive person. And like, there's a lot of like moments early on of him and Patricia Arquette where she's like very like jumpy around him. He just acts a certain type of way. And it's very subtle, but I definitely got that. I was like, okay, not when I was watching it necessarily. Well, a little bit there at the beginning. When he's like, what's that? With the videotape and shit. And I was like, he's a little aggressive. He's a little, but at the same time, the way I saw it as I was viewing it was like, he thinks she's cheating on him.
Right.
So that's why I thought.
The dude at the party.
Yeah.
That he like.
Yeah. And so that's why I thought he was acting a certain type of way.
Stuff like that.
But yeah, then like the body. And the thing is, like, I guess I was like, I was following the storyline once they swapped bodies. I understood that the most. Yeah, that's the part of the movie I was probably the most into, is once he swapped into like the young kid's
the
body.
Mechanic or whatever. That's fucking the mob's mistress.
Yeah, just bad call.
He should know. He said, "I can't take you."
Robert Loggia.
He should have left it there.
Which the mobster guy, played by Robert Loggia. I can't see Robert Loggia in a movie without fucking thinking about Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie. Because he's the guy at the beginning that they're like trying to pitch the movie to or whatever, or like gives them the $1 billion, and he's like, yeah, like fucking like, I think he's the one that like cuts off the old lady's like finger or something.
That's wild.
It's just like, I can never not see him just doing the crazy shit in Tim and Eric in my head. And then, of course, like, there's that whole scene where he just, like, has that big road rage moment.
That was funny to me.
Which, it was fun. And what's funnier, a little trivia fact that I read.
That was unscripted.
that actually happened. Well, actually, kind of. So I guess when David Lynch made Blue Velvet, Robert Loggia showed up to audition for the part that Dennis Hopper got, but nobody informed him that Dennis Hopper has been cast and that they weren't holding auditions anymore. So he'd been waiting around, and David Lynch showed up, and Robert Loggia went off on him, just like the fucking road rage scene. And I guess that just stuck with David Lynch over the years, so that when he did do Lost Highway, he reached out to him and said, listen, that just really stuck with me all these years, and I think you should play this part. And like, he put the road rage scene in there specifically because of the time he went off on him, and that's what that was based on, an actual true event. So
you don't drive reckless. You give them 2 car spaces. It was just, I was like, you took a road rage situation and then you escalated it yourself. Like, you made the situation worse. They kill him?
No, but they definitely left the guy crying on the ground, because it's not like he was like some mobster himself. He's just some dude. Just got the shit kicked out of him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But as far as like the what was Lost Highway about? No fucking idea.
Phil was lost.
I will say though, there was a death in this movie that, like, I enjoyed it. It was creative and it was comical, and I'm also just like, God, that's fucked up. Like, but when the dude, like, he conks him over the head as was instructed, and then he like jumps up and gets and then he fucking like dives at him and into the glass table and just slides his whole forehead into it, and I'm just like, new fear unlocked. Jesus Christ. I was like, definitely going to be padding all the corners in my fucking house now. Got a little boy running around. I can't have this.
Sharpen his table edges before.
No shit. Like, those things had to be.
I can understand splitting your head open, but like,
to fully like,
how hard did you have to jump to like almost go like halfway down your skull? You know what I'm saying? Because it was a deep gash. He was in there.
He was in there. He was like elevated.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy.
And then like the whole thing with like, I don't know, none of it made any fucking sense.
but like it didn't.
It didn't.
Like I really like
I said, I was like, so what is this, like a circle of hell, or like, you know, is this his purgatory? That, because I know I brought that up to you. It was like, purgatory was about the closest thing I could possibly.
And that's what other people told me after the fact. It's like, that would have been nice to know going into it. Like, and you know,
because it's a loop. Because at the end of the movie, he's the one that fucking buzzes the thing and is like, Dick Laurent is dead, which is how the movie starts. Yeah. You know, and so
I don't know who that is. Or whatever you say.
Yeah. But, so I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just some sort of hell loop or something.
Yeah, who knows?
But then it led, like, even that alone led to like 50,000 other questions. I was like,
as the credits are rolling.
Yeah, I'm just like,
what the fuck?
So what? Like, so if this is a hell loop, then who's the kid? What's Gary Busey got to do with any of this?
Right, yeah.
Just,
you know,
what happened in the yard? I don't know.
What happened with the girl? Because she just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
You know?
She sure did.
It was like, oh. And then all of a sudden it is back to the main dude. I was like, weird.
But a step above, leaps above Dune. Dune is on its own level.
I'll watch it at some point.
Yeah. It's fine. And then I watched, like I said last week, I probably would do. I watched the documentary, David Lynch, The Art Life, that's on Max.
Oh, yeah?
And what was interesting about this documentary is that it really was more about his life. Like, it really, he's always been an artist. He's always been like more of a painter and whatnot. But But the documentary pretty much goes from like his childhood all the way up to him making Eraserhead. And all it is like a bunch of conversations with David Lynch himself. And yeah, it's just more about his life and what he calls the art life and just living it, you know. And there was a scene near the end that definitely spoke to me. Almost feels a little more relevant after some of the things we talked about today. But so he was talking about like when he was younger, like there was a couple instances. Like there's like his dad, I guess he had a good relationship with his family and stuff. He had a good childhood, like a good relationship with his parents and shit. But this was like after he had moved out and was on his own. And he had like a little art thing going on in his basement. But like some of the shit he would do, like he's got like a dead mouse and like all this kind of shit. And all of his art is like very dark and like just kind of almost nasty looking. And
I didn't see that.
And it's like, you know, it is what it is. Like artists do what they do, you know, like our friend Gela likes to do like the dark stuff. And that's some of my favorite work of hers. But I know that she catches like a lot of flack from like, you know, family or what have you, that's just like, what the hell is this shit? And so like David Lynch was talking about how like he's going down to the basement and he's just like all smiles, like he's just like, yeah, I get to show my dad like what I'm doing and like what I'm creating, and I'm so excited. And like he said he turned around and just saw the look on his dad's face, and it was just concern. Like, I mean, he just definitely, but he didn't say anything at the time. But then I guess on the ride to the train station, his dad was finally like, David, I don't think you should have kids. That's what he said to him. And then little did they know at the time, his David Lynch's wife or partner or whatever was pregnant with their first child at that moment. And he would find that out a little later. But
I don't think you should have kids. Ooh.
But like, it was one of those things that like, I understood, because even, you know, one of the relatives that watched An Affair at the End of Time, you know, I showed that to him, and then I showed him the next thing we got coming out. And, you know, he really enjoyed them. But, I mean, we do tend to lean towards darker stuff. And, a comment I've heard before in the past, whether in regards to us or to other people, is just like, what kind of warped minds think of this kind of shit? You know what I mean? And, like, I've never seen it that way. And that's what David Lynch was talking about. Same. He's like, you know, he was like, don't get me wrong. He's like, I understood why my dad felt the way he felt. Like, I get where he was coming from. I understand where the concern like was laying, but like, I don't actually like think this way. Like, this is just how I express myself creatively. Like, this is just, it just comes to me. It's just, you know, how it's my artistic expression and whatnot. But I don't think I'm like a disturbed human being. Like, I'm not like in the basement with like body parts, you know, sort of thing.
And it's just like, take him to the insane asylum.
And it was one of those things. Yeah, it was one of those things where like his dad was obviously very shaken by the whole thing, but like David Lynch was like, well, it ain't all that serious, you know. It's just, you know, it's just my art. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not disturbed. I'm not twisted, you know. And I get that. Because I even had a moment while editing, like, Flippin' Susie, editing that final scene. I'm just like, I almost feel like I'm going to get that from some family members. I feel like they're going to watch Flippin' Susie and then be like, are you okay?
Why would you do that?
Why would you make something like this? This is so dark and this is so twisted. But then people have different levels of that too. You know what I mean? Like, some people can handle a lot of that. Some people can handle very little. Like, it's just good storytelling, and that's how we've always viewed it. Like, we've never just been dark, twisted, fucked up people. Like, you know, even back in the day, like my mom would make comments about like the guys that made Saw. And she'd be like, what kind of sickos sit around and think of this kind of shit? And I'm like, to me, I feel like the difference is the sickos go out and they build the traps and they put people in them and they fucking murder people and do all this shit. But like, you know, they're just storytellers. Like, they're like, what would be interesting? Well, this would be interesting. And it is, you know, and that's just kind of how
people liked it.
You know, and then, you know, the same with Gela and her art. Like I said, I love her dark stuff. It's like my favorite stuff she works on. But like, some people look and they're like, what the hell's going on in your brain? It's like, well, it's just art. It's just how she's expressing herself. It's what she's into, you know? And
yeah, I feel like I got that a little bit from my mom too. when I was telling her about the werewolf movie, she's like, why would you even like why would you think this way? I'm like, I don't know.
I watch a lot of movies.
It's like I just feel like it's compelling and I enjoy that aspect of life. She's like, people don't think like that. I was like, okay.
Then you're not gonna watch the movie.
It's just that's your opinion.
Yeah. And that happens, you know, because then, so that was the first instance. But then the other thing that definitely hit even harder was, I guess, when he was in the midst of making Eraserhead, his dad and brother came to him and like sat him down and flat out told him to stop making the movie. They're just like, just stop. Like, this isn't going to go anywhere. And like, you're wasting your time and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like sitting on the couch watching this, just being like, oof. Why is this so relevant? You know, like it just really hit home a little bit. And it's just like, I feel like I'd almost go as far to say all creative people deal with this in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's some that have it a little easier than others, but it's just one of those things. Because David Lynch also grew up in the Midwest. And it's like, you're not surrounded by people who do art like that in that way. And like, it is hard. It's hard because you're surrounded by people who just don't get it at all. You know, they like to watch their movies, but they've got like a narrow lane they are the general audience, you know what I mean? And like, they don't give a shit about your artistic stuff. They just think you're kind of weird, you know? And that can become taxing on people for sure. Always being told that you're weird and this and that and the other, when it's like, dude, I'm just trying to make some shit here.
Yeah.
So that people can enjoy it. You know, even last night watching the Super Bowl, which I feel like that falls under the category of everything. We watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I watch it every year.
Every year. But near the beginning of the Super Bowl, when they were doing the pre-show stuff and they had all the like New Orleans artists coming out and performing and dancing and the marching bands and all that stuff. Honestly, in that moment, I'm sitting there, I'm watching all this and I'm like, you know, I want to fill my life with people like this. I want to be surrounded by creative individuals that want to create and make art and dance and sing and make people laugh and make people cry. And just like, you know, I want more of that in my life. I want my son to grow up around that environment, knowing like, hey, you're not a weirdo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can be creative. You can express yourself. And, you know, I just think it's important. Definitely want more of that in my life. But yeah, that was David Lynch. The Art Life.
The Art Life. I feel like that's, I guess, is good enough as a segue into the documentary I watched, which would be 14 Peaks.
14 Peaks.
Yep, a little documentary about this guy whose name was Nemu from Nepal. Okay. And he wanted to be the first person to climb 14 8,000-foot mountains within 7 months. The world record was 7 years. And so he wanted
And he said, how long? 7 months? Gotcha.
And so he wanted to prove to people that, like, he wanted to inspire people. He wanted to, like, you can do anything, like, that you set your mind to. Like, don't allow limitations to like stop you and stuff like that. And it was a really cool story. I mean, the dude was a machine. Like, he was like, because he was like in the special forces or whatever, and apparently he was telling a story about like he was in this gunfight and like someone shot him or whatever, and so like instead of the bullet hitting him in the head, like it hit like his gun. He was like a couple centimeters either way, and he would have died. It like knocked him off a building and everything, but he lived and he was like, you know what? I don't think I want to climb mountains. But dude was a machine. Like, he'd go and like get fucked up the night before and then climb a mountain in like a day.
That's crazy.
Like, it was like just wild, like how fast they were able to do it. Like, he was just setting records like no one's business. And he was having a hard time at first. Even getting people, because everyone kept on saying that it was impossible, so he named it Project Possible, is what he did. And so, but he was having like a hard time even just getting people to to try to get money for
Yeah.
it and stuff like that. And so, because like no one wanted to, they're like, oh, this is insane. Like,
Yeah.
you can't do that and stuff like that. And so,
People's favorite word or phrase, I suppose.
Yeah, you can't, and that's like the whole thing that he was trying to go against. Is like, you can, like, you can very well like do this if you just believe in yourself more than anything. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, you know, there are limitations and stuff, and I do feel like dude is just like I mean, he's just a strong-willed person. Like, he like the abilities that he has does help him in that regard. Like, he can do things that the average person wouldn't be able to, but that's just not to say that you couldn't get there if you really wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know, we talked recently about Wim Hof and, you know, the breathing exercises I've been doing and stuff. And, and he kind of, you know, rocks that similar path of like, he climbs mountains like it's nothing. Like, and he'll do it in a day. And like, cause he had a whole part of his book. Like, I guess that's part of like what he does at some of these retreats and stuff, like, or whatever they're called. But again, people are like, that's crazy. I know there was like one experiment they did specifically where everybody was just like, you're going to get everybody killed. Like, you can't do it. And then I think that was the one that he's like, oh, well, how much time do you need to train people? Like a few months. And then he's like, give me 10 days. And then they did it in 4. And it's just like, you know, 12 random dudes basically. And and that's like his whole mission in life is just like, he's like, I'm not a superhero. I'm not some mystical being. Like, every human being is capable of doing what I'm doing. Like, and, you know, he tells stories about like people with like diseases that they were basically told like, yeah, your life is fucked from here forward. You're just going to be in pain and you're going to have to take medicines and you're going to have to do this and that. And then they started doing like his, you know, method and stuff. Next, you know, they're climbing mountains. They're doing things that they didn't even think was possible for them. Right. It's all just because they started believing in themselves. They quit listening to people who said, you can't do that. That's impossible. Yeah. It's like, well, okay. So yeah, I guess it was an apt segue because I mean, I definitely feel like that's a common phrase thrown at creative people. It's like, oh, well, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that.
You know, so it was cool. It was a decent documentary.
Cool. What was that on?
Netflix.
I might check that out.
You should. Yeah. That's all inspirational, kind of like help get you inspired. Like, you know what? I got this.
For sure.
So I enjoy it.
Kind of fits the vibe I've been going with lately.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think it'd be worth the watch.
Hell yeah. I can take on it. Another movie I watched this week, I'm not quite sure if I should call it a documentary or a biopic. I'm really not sure. It feels like a documentary, but that's Piece by Piece, the Pharrell flick.
Oh yeah,
and because like it's definitely done like a documentary, just all in Legos. It's very cinematic because like even the opening scene is like almost as if they shot documentary footage and then redid it with Legos, with the shaky cam and everything. And then he goes in to sit with the director, and they start talking, and he's like, "Hey, you know, it'd be kind of cool." He's like, "What if we did it like all with Legos?" And he's like, "You're serious?" He's like, "Yeah." And so, the whole movie is Legos. And what I feel like a thing I really got a kick out of with this movie was like how many like big rappers were in this movie, but they're Legos. And funny. So like, I mean, Kendrick Lamar was in it, Jay-Z was in it, I think Busta Rhymes showed up at one point, Snoop Dogg. One of my favorite scenes in that movie was when they made the Drop It Like It's Hot song, and he's having the meeting with Snoop Dogg, and there's these Lego people spraying bottles that say PG spray to smoke up the room.
That's funny.
But I thought I don't know. I thought it was a creative way to like. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I guess I knew Pharrell's always been around and stuff, and I knew he had his hand in like a lot of music. I mean, I would almost go as far to say like the whole early 2000s, everything we remember of music in the whole early 2000s is all Pharrell, bro. I was like, I had no fucking idea.
He was just the man. Dude, man behind it all.
Fucking Drop It Like It's Hot. Fucking Holla Back Girl. There was another No Doubt song. I forget which one it was. But all stuff, like, I mean, it was just insane. I mean, the list of songs that he worked on was just like, this is fucking crazy. Like, you know, this is like, you couldn't go anywhere in the early 2000s without hearing these songs, and just kind of hearing his story and how he kind of worked up to it. It's pretty neat. It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Again, kind of fits that theme of, like, you know, he grew up in a place where there wasn't a lot of this kind of stuff going on. And I think he went to high school with, like, Pusha T, Missy Elliott, and a couple other people, and they all kind of came together in the early days when they were in high school. And I was like, what a fun story this was, and what a fun way to tell it. It was very optimistic, and I mean, it's hard not to feel good when you're watching a Lego movie, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, and this was the first Lego movie since Universal got the rights to the Lego stuff, because everything else was Warner Brothers previously. So Universal's like, well, what do we do? You know, we got to change it up somehow. We can't just do what they were doing. And they said, well, fuck it, let's make a Pharrell biopic.
Hell yeah.
But no, it's pretty
or documentary.
Or documentary. I feel like I'm leaning documentary.
It feels like a documentary.
Yeah. I feel like a biopic would be more like somebody plays Pharrell.
Yeah.
In it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I guess there was one of those in the works, but I guess they just scrapped it.
So, yeah, he's doing a documentary.
Which is insane to me. I mean, I guess I can understand to a point, but, like, I just feel like these kinds of things, they just don't happen often. And like if you're spending all that money, but they were literally editing the movie. Like, it's been shot. Like, it had, like, a whole,
damn.
I mean, they did all this shit. And I think the director was the guy who did, like, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I've never seen it.
Oh, well, that's too bad. I'll put it in your pile.
Sweet.
But yeah, I guess they just announced this, like, a couple days ago. They were just like, yeah, we're pulling the plug. It's like the more we started editing it, it just wasn't coming together the way we wanted it to. And they said, fuck it. I know. Because I was
to get to that point, like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah, because they had, like, a decent little cast and shit too. So I was just like, damn, Pharrell, how much fucking... I mean, like I said, he was the early 2000s, so I like to think he's just got the money to do this. But...
And, I mean, and he was, like, still doing stuff, like, in the 90s and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he's been around for decades.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then even past that, you know, because then he had, like, what he kind of considered his own resurgence with Get Lucky and Happy.
Yeah.
And shit like that. Blurred Lines.
Yeah.
All the songs that were good the first time, and then they just got old after him. Belle was like, I didn't really like that song. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying. I mean, like, I liked these songs, but then I didn't like these songs because they just played the living shit out of these songs. And it's like, yeah, they're catchy, but shit.
Yeah, especially like
fast.
Happy.
Oh, yes. Yes. But, yeah, no, it was cool. I'd recommend it.
Well, I'm still planning on checking it out at some point.
What else you got, bud?
Well, I guess the only... Well, I finished Squid Game.
Mm-hmm.
Something that took up a good chunk of my time was finishing that. I enjoyed the second season. I feel like a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
And I can understand why. If they were like to come out and like you binged it like that day or whatever, I probably would have been upset. Because, I mean, it does just kind of just end on, like, a cliffhanger. I went into that knowing it was going to end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
so, like, I
enough.
knew the whole time. I was like, okay, well, this is just going to end at some point. And
Plus, season 3 is literally coming out in, like, a few months.
Yeah.
So.
You know, so I knew there was going to be a quick turnaround. So I was like, okay, this is kind of like a part 1, part 2 type situation.
Gotcha.
And,
that is good to know. I actually haven't heard anything about season 2. So I've just avoided it altogether.
Yeah, I mean, it's because they didn't give any spoilers. I just knew that.
Yeah.
It just people weren't happy with the ending because I saw on Facebook people are like, everyone is outraged by Squid Game season 2 ending, and I even talked about it with a buddy over the weekend. I was like, because he talked about how he was watching like when it first came out. I was like, oh hey, by the way, I finished Squid Game, and it's like, Oh, he's like, so what'd you think of the ending? I was like, I didn't mind it. He's like, didn't mind it.
I'm outraged.
He's like, that was horrible. He's like, how do you? I was like, well. He's like, well, I was like, well, I knew it was gonna end that way. He's like, oh, well, I didn't. I'm like, yeah, I can see why that would make a difference.
Yes.
So,
well, good to know. I guess my question is, since I haven't talked to anybody or heard anything about it, I guess my thing was like, is it just more of the same stuff, or do you feel like it was like worth having the season 2?
Not the same as season 1.
Okay.
So
I feel like that was my biggest worry.
I feel like they did a good job with how they handled the season, because it's just the way it all kind of got brought back in together, how it all kind of came together. I thought I enjoyed it. I liked it.
Word.
I fucked with it. So
it's still on my list.
Still should watch it. I recommend.
I
Some people are like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. It doesn't seem like something I'd like. More power to you. You don't have to like it, but I do.
I almost feel like I'd need to rewatch season 1 just because like I binged it all like in one go, basically.
I feel like it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
it wouldn't hurt too. Just because
they have a solid recap at the beginning of season 2.
I don't think
previously on Squid Game.
I don't think it's like that.
Yeah,
they kind of just throw you in there. But yeah, and then I only watched like one other movie.
What?
New Mutants.
Oh, that's right, the New Mutants.
I watched New Mutants.
I'd almost say, well, because it sets up a perfect segue, I'm going to just throw this one out here real quick because I don't have much to say on it. I did start a new show called Common Side Effects.
Okay.
It's on Max or Adult Swim, depending on how you're watching it. But the guy who made it is this animator called Joseph Bennett or whatever. And he did like a lot of animations on that show Cake that we watched.
Yep, gotcha.
And so now he's got like this whole show, and the premise of the show is that like there's this guy who like found these mushrooms that cure everything, like all illnesses, all diseases, and the pharmaceutical company wants him dead because he essentially put him out of business,
Right.
So he's considered a danger, and it's like a little political conspiracy, but also like a weird like little animated show.
Hell yeah.
There's these 2 DEA agents that I think are my favorite characters so far because they're just so goofy. And I love like the first time you see them, they the one is like getting like a hot dog or something at a stand while the other one's sitting in the car waiting, and that song from Beetlejuice is playing. They're like shake, 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 senora.
Okay, yeah.
And it's playing, and you see the one dude in the car and the one chick getting the hot dog, and they're both just like like shimmying and just kind of doing a little dance, and then she walks around, gets in the car, and they just like keep like getting into it and just add. But then like I thought it was just gonna be like a one-off bit that they were doing, but they kept kind of bringing back this like little dance thing, and they got this like fun little friendship between the 2 of them, and they're just quirky. So a new episode came out today, so I'm excited to keep watching that. But yeah, the New Mutants.
I guess one thing I'll throw in a little curveball, not necessarily a movie, but I did watch like a little short film on YouTube. It was called Opal. Oh, okay. Which was on Adult Swim. So when you said that, that's what reminded me of it, and that was interesting. Have you ever?
I have not watched it. I actually think it's on Max.
Oh, if it is on Max, I don't know, but I watched the episode, and interesting to say the least. It was weird.
Well, it's funny because going through all this David Lynch stuff, I just think to myself constantly as I'm watching it, I'm like, I definitely would have been into David Lynch earlier because what is this if not all the bullshit I watch on Adult Swim?
Adult Swim has some of the craziest content I think I've ever fucking seen.
I really enjoy it. It's like I always say that show Off the Air is like my Bob Ross. I can just turn that on and just let it play and just like chill. I'm just like, let me just take in all this weird art for whatever 15 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Cake was that way too, but that was FX.
Yeah, Cake was funny too, though.
Yeah, Cake had some good stuff. Hits and misses, but that happens with a variety show.
Yeah, the Shark
Lords.
Shark Lords. comic gold.
Gonna fuck that shock.
And he did. Spoilers for the fans.
I can't believe he actually did it.
And he lost his legs too, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, because they try to lower him in the water, they pull him back
Actually,
up.
Actually, a little fun fact for those of you that don't want to sit through all of Cake but would like to experience Shark Lords, a lot of like the segments on Cake, they have on Hulu, like just as individual shows. So you can just watch Shark Lords if you wanted to.
I would almost go back and rewatch it.
It would be worth it, I think. For sure.
He came and it ruined the whole experience for him. It
Hilarious.
was never supposed to be sexual.
It was never supposed to be sexual. It was an act of dominance.
He was just so excited he couldn't contain himself. It was so funny.
Actually, the first season of Cake, there was, I forget what because like every season they had something like Shark Lords. They always had like the show that they did, and whatever it was that first season with the black dude, I'm forgetting his name, but he was in Kinds of Kindness, and I'm like, I know him from Cake.
Got you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the New Mutants.
So the New Mutants, to get back on track. Never watched it when it first came out. So
the last of the Fox era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was even on our last episode, we talked about how you haven't seen the menu and I haven't seen
the New Mutants.
The New Mutants. And so I was like, I think I was on Disney Plus and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna check it out. I heard decent things about it, so I was curious to finally watch it, and for the most part, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I felt like, I don't know. I mean, I felt like knowing that it's not probably really gonna go anywhere.
Right,
it's kind of somewhat like disappointing, just because it's like I don't feel like you really got to have like that backstory of like these characters. I felt like they were introduced and that they were going to get developed more later throughout. Whatever. I'm assuming they were wanting to make more than just the one.
Yeah.
So
that movie had like it was just in production hell forever too, and I think a large part of that had to do with the Fox merger. Like I think when Disney bought Fox, they just didn't know what the fuck to do with the New Mutants for a while, because it took forever for that movie to come out. And I don't know if it was one of those where like they had it done, but they just didn't know what to do with it. And then like, because I know they basically just like sort of killed it, because I think they put it out during COVID and they just said,
they did.
Here you go.
They did put it out in COVID, because my buddy went and saw it on his birthday.
It's like one of the only movies that came out to theaters during COVID.
Yeah, and Jackass. Because we went and saw.
That was after.
Was it after?
Oh, that was well after. It was a couple of years.
Well, they thanked us for going to the theater to watch it. So.
Well, I guess that was like when theaters. Well, no, yeah, maybe that was 2021. No, it would have been 2022. Oh. But still, early enough that they're like, "Hey, thanks for coming back to the movie theater." Yeah,
same difference.
That went on for like 3 years. Like, we're just happy you're here,
right? But no, I guess back to the New Mutants. I did enjoy it. Big Anya Taylor-Joy fan, so that definitely held a lot of weight for me. I had a love-hate relationship for her character. Was very standoffish, but like when she went through like her little portal world, and then, like her little puppet turned into like that dragon. I was like, that's so fucking cool. Like I was sold at that point. I was like, because she even talked to her and was like jumping on her shoulder. I'm like, fucking dope, man. I would love to.
I forget.
It had a name.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Magic is the sister of Colossus. I think they're siblings. I know she's related to somebody. I'm pretty sure it's Colossus. It's the only other Russian motherfucker I can think of.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree with you though.
That was cool, but I just felt like it was kind of like shallow in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't. I would like to get more into the dude that can like fly, whatever. I can't remember. Kentucky is what they called him.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen this.
And so, because I don't know, he killed like his dad and a bunch of his workers in the coal mine. And, like, so they didn't like. So there was like that big struggle with him and him feeling like he was a bad person and stuff like that, and then the rich Colombian dude or whatever, parents sent him away there that got too hot, and then Anya Taylor-Joy made him too hot, and it's like, I can't blame you there, bud. Oh shit, get me in a pool with her too, and I'd probably be fucking bubbling the waters. Good lord, but I don't know. I enjoyed like the Native American chick. Mm-hmm. Blue something, I think is the actress's name.
Couldn't tell you.
If anyone could be able to tell me, it would be you.
It would have been me. And
so
if I can't, all was lost.
Then the chick that turned into the dog, the one that was real religious, like she's been in other shit, but I can't remember.
Yeah, man, it's been years since I've seen this movie.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But
most of what's standing out to me in my head, the images I'm playing, are all from the trailer. So I just like could not help you on this one.
Okay, well, I wish you could.
I'm sorry.
But no, it was
intern.
Intern, help me. No, but it was. I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the best X-Men thing I ever watched, but for what it was worth, I thought that was a cool concept, and I would have been curious to see what they could have done with it if they
for sure
moved forward with it, which I don't think they will. So
no.
So
I mean, I liked the whole aspect of like an X-Men horror movie. Like I thought that was like a cool concept, but
I feel like they could lean more into the horror aspect
for sure.
with that if that's what they were trying to do.
I feel like even that was something I think I heard that like at one point they did lean more into the horror, but then they like dialed it back, and like there's just a lot of back.
Yeah, because there was like those masked men that was torturing Magic or whatever when she was a kid and stuff. Creepy motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. And the fact that old girl fucking brought those things to life, it's like, you ain't gotta do all that. There's like fucking 15 of them motherfuckers.
Low key, I'd rewatch it though. It's been long enough now that I.
It was decent.
Because I remember that. I remember it like I didn't hate it. It was alright.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we did the old switcheroo, the old flip flop, and I watched The Menu, and I mean, you recommended it. You even said, I'd rewatch it. If you watch it, I'll rewatch it. That's what you said last week. Run it back. That's what you said.
I know I did.
Yeah, I know what I said.
And, well, guess what? It was a short week. I didn't realize my time frame window was...
I didn't know either.
So...
But, because as soon as it was over, I was like, he was going to rewatch it, huh? Like, I just don't know, man. I don't know what I just felt like. Okay, now it's kind of coming back to me because I was trying to like remember this shit earlier. My biggest problems with it, like, again, it's one of those movies. I feel like I've seen a lot of these recently where like it was very well made. You know, like as far as like a production value goes, like I think, it was very well shot. I really like the cast. I mean, there's a lot of fun members of the cast. John Leguizamo was in it as the like actor dude or whatever.
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult playing the biggest jackass I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Dude, man, I didn't know I could
there.
dislike Nicholas Hoult so much because I to start on a positive note, the acting in this movie was phenomenal. It was fantastic. Ray Fiennes did a fucking amazing job. Anya Taylor-Joy did an amazing job, and Nicholas Hoult did such a good job. I was like, fuck you. I was getting mad. I was like, I just saw you in like 3 other movies the last few weeks.
Yeah, he like called her a prostitute or something.
Dude, he was, because I think she was, but he was just like, I don't know, he's just such a dick. Like, my thing was, call her the prostitute, that's fine, she kind of is one. But the fact that like near the end, spoilers, that when they were like, when the chef called him out and was like, you broke up with your girl that was supposed to come here tonight, but you and I have been talking and you knew what this was. Like, you knew everybody was going to die, yet you brought this innocent person here anyways. And he's just like, yeah, but anyways, the food. And I'm just like, bro, that's so annoying. Like, what a piece of shit character this guy was. It was not what I was expecting at all. I will say that. Like, I did not expect.
Well, then to like.
I didn't expect Nicholas Hoult to be that way. I didn't really know where the movie was going to go. I just knew that it was like a dark comedy. Like, I knew that. And like, I almost thought that it was going to be like some sort of cannibal kind of angle to it, or something. But like early on, I heard that this was definitely like because it came out around a time where like other movies were like, it was just like a year of movies that are like, fuck the rich. You know?
Yeah. It's like definitely a classism.
Which like,
movie.
I got that, but I just like, that was where my problem with the movie came into play, was like, I just feel like they never got under the surface. Like, there were elements of it that I just did not understand. They never clicked into place for me because I just felt like everything was very shallow almost. Like more than anything, I felt like Ralph Fiennes' character just spoke in fucking riddles all the goddamn time. And like, even when he was talking to Anya Taylor-Joy and is like, are you with us or are you with them? Because then my thing is like, okay, well, if this is an us versus them scenario, why is everybody dying? Why is the plan to kill everybody? Like, because what it amounted to at the end for me was like, okay, what I thought this movie was going to be is like, okay, you rich assholes did this, and now I'm making you guys pay the price because you're rich assholes.
Right.
What it felt like by the end is, I'm a little sad sack, and I'm having a pity party, and you rich assholes played a part in that, and now we're all going to die. You know what I mean?
To an extent, I'm sure, right?
Because he's like, I don't enjoy cooking for people anymore. And then that's obviously how Anya Taylor-Joy escapes, because she sees the photo of him happy cooking the burger or whatever. And she's like, I want a cheeseburger. And I enjoyed all that. I love that she got away. I love that he was like...
Kind of have it to go.
I love it. It's like, just so bold.
Right. And then she sits on the boat and watches as the whole...
I have to say, I love that they added the shot of her actually eating the cheeseburger on the boat.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
And I mean, I guess I get it too, to where it's like, it was kind of surface level, but like, I mean, at the same time, it's like, I don't know, I feel like a little bit of it was like, you know, these rich people kind of just became complacent in their richness. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just so used to...
Like, some of them, yes.
For
sure.
But none of them really, like, they all accepted it. At the end of the day, you know.
Well, yes, because there is that line where he's like, "None of you fought that hard."
Yeah, they kind of just like, oh, okay, well,
yeah,
we're just gonna die. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like,
well, kind of in that rich way, they're like, well, somebody will do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, like it'll get taken care of somehow.
But like, for instance, like, okay, so you got like, I understood there was the like older rich couple that like Anya Taylor-Joy had I'm assuming she was an escort is what I got from all of this. And that because she was with that old dude and then he started jerking off in front of her that one time and was being weird. And the wife was like, do you know her? Like, and all that stuff.
Right. Is that the one where the dude been there like 14 times or whatever?
Yeah. See, now that I understood because he was like, what did you eat the last time you were here? And he couldn't even tell him. And it's like, obviously he's just a rich asshole and he literally is just not even thinking about the fact, like, he's like, there are people who would literally give their left nut to eat here and you've been here 14 times. And that one I understood, but then like there's the actor dude and it's like his whole thing was like, I had one day off and I went and saw your movie and I fucking hated it. And it's like, that feels like a personal problem. That doesn't really feel like you're a rich asshole problem. Because it almost sounded like he was making a comparison between him and the actor. Where he's like, as a creative person, I have also lost my muster for what I'm doing. And clearly you've done the same. And he's like, I hate to see it. It's like, so you're fucking going to kill him? Right. Like, I don't know. Like, and then it's funny because other people would always be like, oh yeah, I really like that movie. And I'm just like, that one, I was like, see, I don't get that. Yes, there were the rich bros that like worked for the guy who like owned the island and shit.
Yeah.
That one, okay, I could kind of understand that as well. But it was just spotty. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was like the be all end all of films, but I thought it was I mean, I enjoyed it because I do like Anya Taylor-Joy, and like you said, like the acting was good, and I mean, I did enjoy like what they were trying to get with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, you deconstruct it, you can find plot holes within it.
I mean, it's decent. I just don't think it. I feel like on a storytelling level, it just didn't land for me because I just felt like I'm like, what are you trying to say? It's like I thought I was following along, but now I'm just like a little confused. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I should have rewatched it.
I mean, you still can.
I probably still will. I mean, I enjoyed it enough to where I watched it. I was like, that wasn't too bad.
I mean, a lot of people really liked it.
That was my thought process. I wasn't like, oh fuck, I gotta tell everyone about the menu. But I thought it was unique enough of like a movie to where I was like, that's not something you see every day. So
I mean, I will give you that for sure.
So there has its merits and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I just wished it was a little more coherent. Was all. I just wish it kind of like knew what the fuck it was trying to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I didn't feel like. I mean, it's been probably close to a year since I watched it, but there was even like at one point Anya Taylor-Joy like escapes and like comes back and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "I thought you were that." I think that's around the time where he's like, "Are you with us or against us?" Like, what the fuck are you doing? But I could be wrong.
I don't remember. She did do something, but it wasn't like an escape because she. I think it was because she like went into his house and shit.
Oh yeah.
Because she was supposed to go do something for him. She was supposed to go get this barrel, but then she went into the house and then saw the pictures and shit. And that's how she does escape. But yeah, man, I don't know. I just think there's something about like when it was all said and done, and I was just like.
You didn't like the alternative s'mores? I thought that was funny.
I mean, yeah, that was hilarious. As soon as he started putting the shit around, I was like, well, that's fucking funny. There were a lot of moments that definitely made me laugh. Like, it was a good dark comedy.
Because, like, especially like the first time I watched it, not knowing anything about it, because I love blind movies. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he started killing them, like, after, like, the second course or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. This is not what the fuck I thought this movie was going to be. So, like, oh, that was interesting. I still enjoyed it.
And, like, I knew there was something up about the movie. I did know that. I was like, I know this isn't, like, what it looks like on the surface. Like, I know there's, like, a darker angle to this and all this shit. But like I said, I was like, okay, as a eat the rich kind of movie, this does not work at all. But, like, I guess, like... a point I can give to the story element is like dude kept telling Anya Taylor-Joy like you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And the thing is, she shouldn't have been in any way, shape, or form. She had nothing to do with any of this. This was literally this guy's own little pity party. Because my thing was, I guess I just kept waiting for like the movie to give me a reason to feel like this chef was any different than the rich assholes that he was killing, which is maybe.
I think part of the reason why he did kill himself is because he allowed money to corrupt him to a point to where he.
Maybe I'm turning around. I don't know.
Didn't like who he was anymore.
Maybe I'll have to go back.
Because that's clearly why he decided to do the whole thing. Is because he lost himself because he allowed the money and the prestige of it all to kind of.
Because I was like, what are you if not a pretentious rich asshole who feels entitled to killing yourself and all of these people because you're sad, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of felt like, but
he sold his soul in a sense to work on the island and to have that like top tier level of. I
guess that could kind of be the point. He was one of the rich assholes, so he's just like, well, fuck me too. Because there's that part where like, there's the chick, the chef, who's like. He's talking about how he kept making sexual advances towards her and like she wasn't having it. And then like she stabs him in the leg or whatever. And he's like, you can do it. And it stabs him. And then like, she's the one who's like, oh, the dying thing was my idea. And like all that shit. And just like, I don't know. It's a little weird.
That is a little weird.
It is what it is though. Yeah, I don't know. That maybe you convinced me to like it a little bit more just then. Though. Like maybe that was the point. Maybe he was considering himself one of the rich assholes as well. Because in that regard, yes, Anya Taylor-Joy has nothing to do with any of this. Like,
So
she's like, y'all are just a bunch of rich weirdos.
Exactly.
Doing rich weirdo things.
So yeah, she should have never been there.
Mm-mm.
And she escaped.
And she did too. And I'm glad she did. I would have been pissed if she was like stuck on the island or some shit like that. Like,
but nope, she had nothing to do with it, and she was able to be clever enough to find her way out of it.
And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed like the little smirk. Like I enjoyed the fact that he saw what she was doing but was like going with it.
Yeah, it's like, you know what, get the fuck out.
He's like, I needed this.
But, and then like just the pretentiousness of all the males too.
Oh, for sure.
It was like just crazy. And I was like, that's just wild. Like, like with the first one where it's just like rock and water, or like wherever the fuck it was, and even Nicholas Hoult was like,
it's a concept. He's like, okay, but it's not food.
Yeah. I was like, this isn't filling. Yeah. So, I mean, there's,
I'm still hungry.
She was until she got that burger.
And then she took one bite, and then she said, I think my eyes are bigger than my stomach. And he just was like, oh.
And he really took his time crafting that burger.
He did, too.
American cheese.
I did get a laugh out of that. Just like one more little blow to his ego. It's like, hey, I'm glad you found the joy in cooking me this meal, but also, fuck you, I'm not going to eat it.
Right.
But like I said, I was glad that they included the shot of her actually eating the burger later.
Oh yeah, it looked like a good burger.
It looked like a great burger. I was like, I wanted to go.
That
and get
was
a
his
cheeseburger.
last meal. Like he put everything he had into that burger. So
that's true. All that was left was dessert. The alternative s'mores.
Man, the s'mores.
It did crack me up. The chocolate melting on their faces and the little fucking necklace of marshmallows and shit. Just hilarious.
And they all just stood there while he put it on them.
They did too. They just took it.
And like no one, I think maybe one person might have tried to, not even in that scene, but like at the beginning was like, oh, fuck this.
Well, the old dude was like, oh, we're leaving. And then they cut off his finger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, then there's that one chef, too. I forgot all about that, where he's like, I call this, like, the mess, or whatever.
Oh, yeah, and he lays the tarp down and just shoots himself.
And just shoots himself, and everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because that's what started the craziness.
Yes, yeah. And then it all went downhill from there.
I was like, okay, this is getting out of hand.
God, how pretentious can you be? But
marvelous.
So that is the menu.
Yeah.
Some mixed feelings there, I guess. Just one more, I guess.
Just one more,
one more drive-away dolls, or drive-away dykes, as the end of the movie reveals.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you could have picked up on that, I guess, in the beginning of the movie. I feel like.
Well, yes, but. I knew they were drive-away dykes.
Is that what it said? Like,
yeah, no, it was literally like the title card at the end is like drive-away dolls, and then like the car drives by and all the little paper pieces that were over.
Oh, gotcha.
The OLL like flew off.
I probably quit watching it at that point.
Because
the credits turned on,
I was like, clearly that was not the title they could market. So
right,
yeah, I hate to do it to you. A second time. I'm not gonna lie. This one, okay, you made the point earlier. You were like, but did you laugh though? Okay, yes, Philip, I did. I laughed. I had a few chuckles along the way. But again, it was more about like the entirety of it. And I feel like I figured it out pretty quick once it was over, like what my problem was with this movie. And I think back to the little writing advice that Trey and Matt gave the South Park.
Yeah, no.
Okay, you look confused. I was like, do you know a lot of Trey and Matt?
I was trying to think of what the advice would be.
But, they're talking about what makes writing good or bad. And they're like, good writing is this happens, therefore this happens, therefore this happens. Like everything kind of feeds into the next thing. Like there's always a purpose. Bad writing is this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens, and they're just things that happen. this was that movie. This movie was just like bad writing. I mean, it was like this happens and this happens and this happens. And I just kept finding myself asking, why? Why are these things happening? Because it's not really, nothing happened to make this happen. This just happened. Like, okay, now this is just happening. Okay, and it's like, yes, okay, there's like amusing shit throughout the movie, but like as a coherent piece of filmmaking, I was like, this is a goddamn mess. I was just like, what the fuck is the point of all? And then, frankly, I just think it got stupid by the end.
Like with all the dildos.
Yes, and like
I mean, because it was ridiculous.
It was super ridiculous, and not even necessarily in a fun like, oh, that was so clever sort of way. It just felt like a joke. Like the whole movie felt like a joke. Like even in the way that it would do its like transitions from scene to scene, just felt like a joke, you know, to do like just weird, corny ass transitions, and I was just like, what am I watching? You know, I just don't get it. I was like, I see what Phil enjoyed in this movie. You know, I see Margaret Qualley doing her thing again, and you know she was good, and I like the other chick in it, Geraldine Viswanathan, which I was just talking about last week, I believe, in that Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah. I mean, the way I've kind of just watched it was like these two college girls just going on a little crazy adventure to Florida. And that was it.
And shit and seas.
Oh, no. I mean, I laughed. I had a good chuckle.
The one thing that
I will say
got me,
I was inebriated when I watched it, so I will give you that to where I probably did overlook some of the corniness of the writing and stuff like that, and was just there for the ride.
Well, like for example, you got those two henchmen.
See, I enjoyed that. I thought they were funny.
They were until
the very end
until they just fucking got shot, and then like dude just kills him and Coleman Domingo, and I'm just
he had anger issues.
Which like I guess, but like. I mean, they hardly touched on the anger issue. Like, it didn't feel.
I felt like it was all leading up to that. The whole time he was giving him a hard time about being not good with people and just always busting his balls, and eventually he just fucking snapped.
I mean, I guess my thing is, I just felt like they didn't show that with him. Like, yes, there was like the first time where he's basically just like, shut the fuck up. He's just like annoyed with it. And like, yes, he gets the shit kicked out of him by fucking Jonah Hill's sister that played the cop in this.
Yeah.
And like all that stuff while dude's just like talking. And yes, he's always talking. Like, so yes, I can agree on that. But like.
Well, because even like when they went to the sorority house.
Yeah.
He just kept making fun of him. Like, he just kept making fun of him.
But like, my thing was the dude who does finally snap never really reacted to a lot of that stuff. He just kind of like was very like just whatever, and even at times he just was kind of laughing it off, even to where I was like, okay, this is just their dynamic. But like when they were in that argument, it was just so fucking random all of a sudden, where he's just like, oh, you know what, and then to shoot Coleman Domingo as well, I was like, okay, so what the fuck was the point of all that? Like, I don't know. It's like, you literally.
I mean, I will agree. I mean, that was just kind of. They just wrapped up a storyline.
It almost felt like they were like, all right, how do we end this movie? And like, I feel like all this stupid shit happened from that moment forward. Like, as soon as the henchmen like got them and the case and everything, they were like, there's a bunch of dildos in the case, and boom, 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 they shoot the people, and I'm just like, this movie's getting fucking beyond silly. And then there was
one missing, and they had to go back and get it and stuff like that. So
I laugh like Matt Damon opening the case and looking at all the dills and being like, these were good men, like, like.
So I mean, there was definitely more. I mean, I laughed.
They called her was it like Teresa Plastercaster or whatever the fuck her name.
I don't remember. But I mean, that was. I will say I laughed pretty much from start to finish. You know, I did have some pretty good chuckles.
That's fair. I did have to break this movie into 2 sittings, unfortunately.
I feel you.
Which sucks because it's such a short movie. I was like, can we not just finish the movie?
So I mean, I enjoyed it for what it is. I'm sorry that you didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
It's okay. I mean,
but hey,
there were fun things about it. I mean, yes, it's a fun, goofy ass movie. Like I guess that was my problem. I guess it was one of those movies that I feel like if I was more prepared, like I might actually enjoy it more a second time around because I know what to expect.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think it was going to be so fucking silly. Like it
even
just,
like the whole thing, like with the dude that ran the car that was just
my
left
favorite
there.
Bit. My favorite.
I mean, he tried to throw the papers up to get
hilarious.
Like there was a lot of things where I just,
especially because that's like one of the last things they end on, and he's just like laying there, and he's just like, or no, because I was like, they didn't go back to it, and I was upset. I was like, nobody went back for him. They didn't even give another scene or anything, because that's like the last time you see him is when the chick goes to like, she's looking through the windows and he's like, help, on the ground, and then he throws the papers, which I thought was clever. But then she leaves and he's just laying there and goes, why doesn't anybody want to help Curly? I got a good laugh out of me. I love that he just kind of kept referring to himself in that way, or like when they're first renting the car or whatever, and she's like, what do you say, Curly? And she's like, don't call me that. And he's like, well, isn't it your name? He's like, yes, but it's too formal. I don't know you.
like another scene that I laughed like in the beginning, like when Margaret Qualley is having sex with that girl or whatever, and then she keeps getting the phone calls, and then she answers. And it's like, don't call me while I'm trying to have sex, and it's her girlfriend on the phone.
Yeah.
And then the other girl's just like screaming like in the background. She's like, I'm just watching porn. I was like, what? Like that was like set the tone of silliness for me.
Yeah.
And then when she shoved the lime up her butt, or whatever it was, like at the because she got on stage and was like doing the whole thing where she like put something inside of her.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That's like, because that's why they broke up, and that's why she had to get out and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what set the whole precedent for her wanting to go with her to her grandma's or whatever the fuck it was. And
which I blame it on splitting the viewing up. I totally forgot about that, because at the end when they're like together and whatnot, and they're like, oh yeah, aunt or grandma or whoever, whatever, this is so and so, and they get in the car with her. I'm like, what? And I was like, who's what? This doesn't make sense. I was like, oh yes. I was like, that's the whole reason. That was like the whole reason they left in the first place.
And just so happened to have a case full of dildos. Was full of powerful men.
But like, they cut the fucking dude's head off over it, and like, it's just...
Oh yeah, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. Again, a movie with a phenomenal cast.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Damon was funny.
He was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But, maybe not for everybody.
Yeah, but like I said, I feel like
you loved Hundreds of Beavers, and I love Driveway Dolls.
It happens.
So, it's okay.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I guess, I don't know, Hundreds of Beavers, I was kind of prepared for the silliness level of that, but like, I don't know, I went into Driveway Dolls with like, it's one half of the Coen brothers, and I guess I went into it expecting a more Coen brothers-esque movie,
right?
And like, in a way, I do feel like there's a lot of parts that are kind of like the worst of a Coen, like in a bad Coen brothers movie, this is kind of what you would get sometimes, like these scenes where it's like, yeah, now everybody just got shot, and then like, fuck it, you know? And it's just like, okay, yeah, I don't know, I feel the same way about that in The Menu, where it's like there are a lot of pieces that I liked, but as a whole,
as a collective, wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I'd probably give them both like 6s, 6 out of 10s myself. It's like a D, right? It's passing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'd give The Menu, because it's been so long since I've watched it.
I feel you.
I'd like to at least give them a C. I'll give them a 7 out of 10.
Go for it.
I almost would go all in and give Driveway Dolls a 7.5. I had some good laughs. I enjoyed it. So
well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And then that's okay.
We don't have to agree on everything.
We don't.
That's fine.
And that is fine.
We'll fight later. But it's fine.
No, we won't, guys. We will not fight.
I've got Hulk hands back at the house.
You got Hulk hands, but you should have brought them with you.
I got gloves in the garage. We can settle this.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, other than that, that's it. We had a light week. Short week. Cut short a little bit due to weather and whatnot, so...
Well, I hope you guys were still able to enjoy the content that we brought.
You're welcome for getting it under 2 hours today.
And you know what? Something to look forward to? Since we had such a short week this week, guess what that means? Just a longer week next week.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so...
First 3-hour episode.
It's possible. I plan on.
Depends on how hard we go on this Andrew Garfield kick. I don't know.
I'm excited for it.
I was even thinking there's like an FX show that he did that I'm like, I might even fucking watch that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't know he did any shows.
Yeah. Called Under the Banner of Heaven.
Okay.
Yeah. On FX. Came out like a few years ago. Never got around to seeing it. Also, never saw Under the Silver Lake. I guess whenever Andrew Garfield goes under things, I don't
you lose them.
I lose them.
Where'd he go?
Where'd he go?
Oh, was that a movie or was that?
What? Which one?
Under the Silver Lake.
That one was a movie. Yeah.
I'm gonna find that.
Never did see that. I forget who the fucking director of that was.
I feel like I remember seeing trailers for it because it came out like a few years ago. Right?
Yeah. It was like an A24 flick.
Yeah, I feel like I remember hearing about it, but
because it was one of those directors that did something. I want to say it was the guy who directed It Follows.
Okay.
And this was like his next movie because I feel like it got mixed to negative reviews, but I was always intrigued by it. I'm always like, I really want to check that out.
You want to know what's funny? I don't think I've ever watched It Follows.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
I keep seeing it pop up on things. And
the old sexually transmitted ghost. Yeah.
Jesus. Well, now I have to watch it just based off of that alone.
Yeah. I saw that shit in theaters with somebody who like doesn't watch horror movies in general, and like we went and saw that, and I gave him a heads up because that's like all I knew about that movie. I was like, yeah, it's like a sexually transmitted ghost. Have to say, for very classy for a movie about a sexually transmitted ghost. Like it's nowhere near as like sexual as you would think.
Yeah.
Probably because motherfuckers aren't trying to pass it around necessarily, but
no, you shouldn't pass around anything.
No sort of ghosts or diseases.
No, yeah, nothing.
Sexually transmitted or otherwise.
No STDs, no STGs.
No STGs.
We ain't doing that here.
But yeah, well, things to look forward to next week. So
yeah, can't wait.
Until then.
All right, guys.
You, me, you.
You
Peace.
Later. You always do it.
Oh.